your name?
I'm Gwendolyn Morgenstern.
Okay.
I was born in Findlay, North Dakota, January 21, 1921.
Okay, you said Findlay, North Dakota?
Findlay, North Dakota.
Okay, and so we're just going to have a conversation, and we're going to start from when you were young to today. So just a conversation. If you need to stop, you can have me stop. Just say stop. If you don't want to answer, just say, can we move on? I don't want to answer. So, okay?
Okay.
Because everything that's on there, we're not going to erase. We're just going to keep it the way it is. Okay? You okay with that?
Okay.
All right. All right. So, Gwendolyn, you said Findlay, North Dakota.
Yes, I did.
Okay. What were your parents' names?
My mother's name was Jessie Lossing. My father's name was Marlon Pearl Buys.
Okay, and where was your mother from?
My father was born in a little town of Batavia, Michigan. My mother was born and raised in Coldwater, Michigan.
In Coldwater, Michigan. And what were they doing in North Dakota?
Farming.
Farming? They bought a farm?
No, it's sharecropping.
Oh, sharecropping. What can you explain what that is? Can you explain what sharecropping is?
Sharecropping is that the owner owns the land and you split the reaping. When you sell wheat, you get,
split the profit.
Yeah, sure. Mm-hmm.
So do they give you a place to make a house? Or?
Yes, they did.
So your father made a house.
We had a house. We were a big family.
Okay. How many brothers and sisters?
I had 6 brothers and 5 sisters.
Can you give me their names?
Their names?
Yeah.
The oldest, I can do them. The oldest brother's name was Hubert Buys. The next one was Howard W. Buys. Myrtle Marie Buys. Zelpha Marguerite Buys. Catherine Elizabeth Buys. Chauncey Llewellyn Chauncey Buys. Robert Ellery Buys. Roland Glenn Buys. Kenneth Voris Buys, Juanita Rolene Buys, Mary Lucille Buys, and Gwendolyn Eunice Buys.
Okay, but you said Morgenstern. Morgenstern? Where do you get Morgenstern? Where do you get Morgenstern if they're Buys?
The Morgenstern?
Yeah.
I was married to...
From your marriage, I'm sorry. I should know that. So you were married to Morgenstern?
Yes.
Mr. Morgenstern.
I was married to him in 2002.
Okay, so while we're at that, did you have children?
I was married, my children's name is Goodwin. I was married to Robert Goodwin, and we had 4 children, 3 girls.
What were their names?
The girls' name, Linda Lee Goodwin, Cheryl Sue Goodwin, Barbara K. Goodwin, and Robert Laverne Jr. Goodwin.
Now, are they in Michigan or are they in North Dakota?
No, all my family was born in Michigan except me.
Okay.
I was the only one that was born out of the state of Michigan.
So you're the youngest. Are you the youngest?
I am the youngest of the
siblings.
Yes.
Okay. So sharecropping. So did they recruit you from Michigan or?
In Michigan. My father worked in the cement factory.
Okay.
And then he worked at a while before he moved he lived in Battle Creek for a while. My mother was just a wonderful mother and housewife. Took care of 12 kids.
Mm-hmm.
Did all the baking.
Okay.
All the sewing for us. And she never worked out of the home. She worked at home.
Okay, so she did all the baking. How did she do that?
She made
a big oven?
No, we had a cook stove, just a cook stove, wood burning cook stove that had a reservoir on the outside, so we had hot water in it. She would make 27 loaves of bread a week.
What do you mean a reservoir? A reservoir on the outside? You used to put water on the outside for steam?
No, we put them in the reservoir. It would have a large container of water,
Okay.
and it just gave us, so when we did our dishes, we had hot water that the stove,
Okay, so the stove heated the water, kept the water hot
yes,
for dishes or other,
for everything, for everything.
and it was connected to the stove.
It was connected to the stove.
Was there an oven in the stove?
There was an oven in the stove.
Okay.
In fact, they told me, my older sisters told me that when I was born, it was so cold, they opened the oven door and laid me on it,
Lady on the oven
on
door?
the oven door, because it was very cold in North Dakota.
In North Dakota at that time.
So
Okay.
my mom said it was 60 degrees below zero,
Ooh.
and snowbanks were.
So you were born in the house.
I was born in the house. Oh yes.
So who was the midwife?
It was a big house. It was a big square house. I at one time had a
Was
picture
it
of it.
your sister, the midwife, or
No, I don't even know what. I think that there was a country doctor.
country doctor that came
Hmm.
at that time?
Yeah.
And it was, and Findlay is in the country, in the rural.
Yes, Finley was in the country.
What's the closest city? And I mean, I could probably find it in the map.
Well, we were not too far from Fargo.
Oh, Fargo, okay.
I was on.
That's
what
probably
is-
the only city I know.
It was on whatever Route 29 is now. That's where Finley was.
So, okay, so Route 29, that comes through Wisconsin and Michigan?
That came out of Canada.
Out of Canada. So you traveled your parents traveled to Minnesota through Canada or
No,
through,
they went
Michigan.
across Minnesota. We went across Minnesota. I've been there since I've been an adult. We went across Minnesota, and
oh, you mentioned Chicago, so you went through Chicago.
yes, we did.
Okay, you didn't go through Wisconsin, you went through Chicago.
Yes, we went through Wisconsin.
Oh, you did go through.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, because you have to go through Wisconsin to get to that.
Yes.
But I mean, you didn't go up the Upper Peninsula,
No, we
No,
came.
you came
We
to
came
Chicago.
across.
because through Battle Creek.
We came across Duluth, and then into Wisconsin. Cambridge, Wisconsin was the first Wisconsin town, and that's where we stayed in a tourist home.
Okay.
So, and then we came into Chicago.
And this was in your father's station wagon truck or car?
Yeah.
What was it?
Yes, we had this. I don't know how we got the car because I was, like I said, 3 and 4 years old.
Yeah.
All I knew that we finally had a car.
Okay.
It was a big Nash touring car,
Okay.
and it was loaded with children.
Okay. But I'm still curious. I'm trying to find out from Michigan, how did your father do sharecropping in Minnesota? Did they recruit him? Did somebody?
In North Dakota. My mother had an uncle that
Oh, he had an uncle.
by the day, his name was Lossing
Okay.
in North Dakota, and he had this land.
Okay. And so that's what they did. Did a lot of people do sharecropping?
Well, the farms were far apart.
Far apart.
So,
But you didn't know any other sharecroppers?
no, we just had that one farm.
Yes.
Then we moved back. Then we came to Minnesota,
Okay.
and my father worked in the lumber
Okay.
company.
Minnesota.
Yeah, Minnesota.
You mean Michigan?
No, Minnesota.
Okay. Because
We-
that was Minnesota, the sharecropping, no?
No, that was North Dakota.
Oh, North Dakota. You're right. I'm sorry. You're right.
And in Minnesota, he worked at the lumber mills.
Okay. Do you know what name?
No, I don't know the name of
Okay.
those, no. But I do know that he was gone maybe 3 and 4 weeks at a time. And we lived in a little town called Guthrie. Well, we lived in the country, but it was called Guthrie, Minnesota.
Okay.
I remember that area.
Did you rent that house?
I don't know how they got the house.
Okay.
I just know I have a picture of it, and I know that in the winter we put horse blankets over the windows,
Okay.
and in the summer we put feed sacks over the windows.
Feed sacks.
And that was
Feed sacks for the cows?
no, we didn't have cows in Minnesota.
So where were they from?
we just lived in that.
You didn't have animals?
No,
Okay. You just lived in the farm.
just lived in this house.
And he worked in the lumber mills, and your mother was a housewife.
Yes.
Okay. And so, there were no other kids around, so you
Just our kids.
So you guys just.
Well, there were children around because the older ones went into school.
Okay.
I didn't go to school in Minnesota.
So they had friends that came over?
They had friends.
And they came over, or you went to their house?
They had them in school.
Okay.
Then.
So you didn't play that much, you just stayed at home?
No.
You were still young?
We just we were a family.
Okay.
There were neighbors. There was a neighbor that I think my father did some part-time work in when he was home. A.D. Wilson was the man that owned that, and they did do something there on the farm, but I don't know because, again, I was only about 2 years old when I was not. But I remember things that happened in Minnesota.
What do you remember?
I remember the first time I ever heard the word murder. I never heard of the word murder. Mm-hmm. And there was a little girl by the name of, now I had that, it's in the book, and then Marion Parker.
Marion Parker, okay.
She was only 15 years old, and she was murdered. And
murdered, killed how?
Yes, she was kidnapped and killed.
Oh, she was kidnapped and killed. Mm-hmm. Is that sexual?
That I remember.
Was that a sexual thing, or?
I don't remember that.
Okay, but
I didn't know anything about sex then.
Okay, all right, that's right. Okay. Okay. So she was kidnapped and then killed.
Yes.
She was a little girl.
Yes.
Okay, and that was in the paper, in the newspaper.
It probably was, but we had. I don't know how much you heard it, but I heard my family. I remember hearing my family talk about it and why it would stick in my mind. And that girl's.
Why did it stick in your mind?
I don't know. It's just I remember things. I always remember things.
So you're a little girl and you're worried. You're scared.
I know that we were. I do remember that when we had to go to the bathroom or the outhouse. After that happened, the boys had to walk part way with us because they didn't. I mean, the wolves were more dangerous than the kidnapping because that was not it wasn't like today's kidnapping. You run every day.
Right.
So
the wolves. There were wolves around there.
There were wolves. There were wolves there.
And the outhouse was far from the house.
Probably like a city street.
Like a city street? A city
but
block?
It was in the country. We lived in around.
So it was away from the house?
Yes, it was away from the house.
So you had to worry about the wolves, basically.
So.
Okay. So
we, I remember how my mother was not feeling well. Wasn't doing too well health-wise at that time.
What was she sick from? What was she sick from? Was she sick or?
No. Well, after you've had 12 children, you're going to have some problems. Okay. I would imagine.
Right.
And we had a bench out.
I should know that.
Right. We had a bench out in the yard, and the wash tub was here, and the wringer was here, and the rinse tub was here. And I remember my sisters were doing the laundry. One would scrub them, and then they would wind them around their arms to wring them out, and they rinse them in the other end.
Okay. And you did this outside? They washed outside?
Outside.
Okay. In a tub or something?
Right.
Okay.
And bath time was interesting.
Okay. Why?
That was a Saturday thing, and the girls would get, of course, what we had was the wash tub we took our baths in.
Okay.
And the girls would get their bath water first.
So and they have to take a bath in clothes, right? They have to take a bath with their clothes on.
No.
Oh, they didn't?
No.
So, okay.
And then after we had our baths, the boys could come in and they could add some more hot water to our bath water.
So it was a separate room? Oh, no, it was outside?
It was in the kitchen.
It was in the kitchen?
In the kitchen.
Okay. Okay.
So it was, and then they would get theirs afterwards.
Okay.
So I remember seeing the snake in up along the ceiling,
Okay.
and the older brother had to come in and.
How big was the snake? Was it big?
Well, I don't know how big it was, but it was to me it was big.
What color? What color?
To me it was big.
What color was it?
I don't know. It was
Okay.
probably.
Dark?
I have no idea.
Okay, you don't have an idea right now.
But
But
my
it was
older.
how was the house? How many rooms?
I don't know, but I have a picture that I'm going to have in the book. Show
Okay.
a picture of it.
Okay.
But we.
So maybe we can get a copy and we can put it on.
I have some pictures.
Oh, you have
I have a DVD with a lot of
With
my
photos?
family on it,
Can we make a copy of that? For
Yeah.
This, for this, okay.
and it has. I also.
I mean, if you want to share it for the public, it's up to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was just because someone told me I should have pictures in my book
Okay, because you are doing the book, so we don't want to be able to.
because I have pictures of my mother holding me in North Dakota. I have some pictures, a picture of that, and we.
Of course, this is going to go towards your book anyway. This is going to go towards your book anyway. I mean, your copy.
Oh, so yeah, I remember so many things that happened. We had a forest fire.
Okay, can you describe the forest fire? Because that was in your book.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
And I remember everyone had their buckets and their burlap bags fighting that fire. And I do remember that a car came through there with celluloid windows, like it was a touring car with celluloid windows that they used to snap in and take out. And
Celluloid windows? You mean like plastic?
well, there was celluloid. Celluloid was what they used like that.
Was it like for the sun?
It was clear.
It was clear.
You could see through it.
Okay.
But they drove down that road and the fire melted those windows
Oh, but you can
while they
melt
were
it.
driving.
So
They were
more
told
like-
not to go down it.
Right.
So I remember that. Remember my father telling about that. I remember my father plowing around the house
Okay. How did he plow?
with a horse.
With a horse?
With a
Okay.
horse. Mm-hmm.
A horse and a plow. Okay.
Yep.
And so was it a big? It was a big farm.
No, it was no. We didn't. It was.
But
It
this
was.
was in Minnesota. This was in Minnesota, though.
This was in Minnesota,
Okay.
Bemidji, Minnesota.
Okay.
So
So he plowed around the house and
plowed around the house
because it
so,
wasn't that big. So what did he grow? What did he grow?
so the fire wouldn't jump and get the
Oh,
house.
so for the
It
fire.
was.
Okay.
We lived outside of the game reserve, and I remember when the hunters would come, and my dad would drive the deer into the game reserve
Okay.
so they wouldn't get shot. He
Oh,
didn't want them killed, so he would
How did he drive them?
just scared them in and herd kind of
Okay.
just headed them that way. They
Into the game reserve, so they couldn't, because the hunters couldn't go.
they could
there.
not hunt there. No,
Okay. Yeah,
no.
that was good. So he didn't like killing animals like that, or
Well, he
Or
just
did-
liked the deer.
just
He was a hard man in some respects, but he was also considerate of some things. He used to say, "Do as I say. Don't do as I say. Do as I do. Don't do as I say, but not as I do," which is true. We didn't do what he did. He was. I know he was strict.
okay. What do you mean by strict? Did he use the whip?
Not no. If we were naughty, that's where I learned not to lie. When we were in Michigan then, and we had a chair, and the little arm fell out, so I threw it away because I didn't know what to do with it. And they'd gone grocery shopping, and he came back and he wanted to know who broke the chair. Lined 7 kids up. Oh, I didn't do it. Well, I didn't do it. Well, I didn't do it. It went down through again. Finally, I had to admit I did it. And I learned to the tune of a 4-inch shaving strap. You know what they are.
Right.
On a 4-inch butt. I didn't lie. And the only time I lied on my age to get a job so I could have my mother have some money. I was 15 and had long hair and done up like an old lady. And I told him I was 18 and I got the job.
You got the job.
But
what kind of job was it?
Working in a dime store.
In a dime store. So your father, did he drink or anything like
No, he did not. My father was sort of an orphan. His mother died when he was 2 years old, and he had 2 stepmothers. Well, the second stepmother, I understand, was now my son-in-law has all this genealogy on this, but his first stepmother was kind. The second stepmother wasn't so good. So my dad was bitter because he was shoved from pillar to post. He was in this one family, they hung their stockings, he hung his stocking. The kids where he lived got oranges and games and candy. He got coal and sticks and his. So he was bitter. He was just a child when he was hopping on the train. And he went when he was about 50.
What do you mean hopping on the train? To travel?
Yeah.
From town to town?
Yeah. He didn't pay.
He was 6, you said? How old was he?
He was about 15.
Oh, 15, and he was hopping trains.
And
Is that what they did at that time?
He got to Chicago, and he was told not to go down State Street in Chicago because that was the prostitute street, and he decided he was going to see why he shouldn't go down that street. He found out that the ladies were sitting in their windows with their little red candles and their bare bodies.
Okay.
He saw all this. I mean, these are things he saw. He didn't get to he went to school till the 4th grade, but he was smart.
So this had to be in the 1800s, right? This was in the 1800s.
Yes.
Because he was 15.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
you know when he was born about?
He was born on the 31st of January, and we never knew whether he was 74 or 75 when he died.
But 31st of January? What 21st of January?
The 31st.
Okay, what year?
That's it. And I was born the 21st.
Yeah, but what year was he born?
I would have to look that up.
About.
It was probably, my mother was born in 18-something. And I can get all of that. I can get my...
No, I mean, you think...
But I can get it from my son-in-law.
When was he 70? What year was he 70?
When he was 70?
Yeah, what year?
We were on a little farm.
Do you know what year he was 70? When he was 70, about?
We never paid him.
How old were you when he was 70?
I was probably... let's see. And I was probably... I'd have to look up some pictures.
Do you know about how old he was when you were born?
Well, they were born in... Their first child was born in 1901.
1891?
1991. 1901.
1901.
The first child was born.
Okay, so the first child was maybe when he was like 18, 19, something like that, or 20?
He was the oldest. They were probably about 18 years old when I was born.
Oh, okay, so all right, 18 years old.
So in 91.
We're still
I mean, those kids are.
Yeah, one right after the other. Yeah.
Mostly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but the first child was born in 1901, so we kind of get it. He was probably in his 20s or 18 or something.
Yes.
So that means he was probably 1880. Maybe
So,
he was born. Maybe 1800.
I know it's in the Bible that we have.
Okay, well, we can get that later. Okay, so you say he was strict, but he was very kind also, you said.
He wasn't brutal.
He wasn't brutal.
No, he had a horrible temper,
Okay.
but he wasn't brutal.
What do you mean he had a horrible temper?
He would get.
Anything would take him off?
He was mad. I mean, when
What would he do when he was mad?
he would blow his top for over the little things. I mean,
When you say blow his top, you mean he'll start yelling or screaming loud?
he would just he would let us know that he was not happy with what was going on.
And the kids did what? Get quiet?
We steered clear of him.
Okay. But he wasn't abusive. I mean, he didn't.
No. Only when he was more abusive with his mouth than he was with his hand.
Okay.
I think I would say. So
What about your mom? How was she?
my mother was an angel.
She was an angel.
My mother was one of the sweetest women.
Your father never hit your mother or anything like that? Did your father never hit your mother?
No, but he hurt her with words.
Oh, he did hurt her with words.
Okay. I never saw him hit her.
Okay.
I've seen him have some terrible arguments.
Okay.
Terrible arguments.
Okay.
But
But she was an angel.
she was a mother.
What can you describe what that means? What does being an angel mean to you? She knew our hurts. She knew we were poor. Mm-hmm.
She had a hard life. I mean, she was a very brilliant woman. She was a beautiful woman.
Okay.
And he was a good-looking man, too. So, but she was, my mother and she was my best friend. Of course, I was the youngest. I was the last one to leave home. She was sad when I got married. Because after all, I was the baby of the family.
Mm-hmm.
So I just...
Did you have a big wedding or?
A big wedding, heavens and earth to tell you, no. I was married in pastor's church,
Okay.
a living room, during the war. I was.
During the war?
Yes.
Was your husband, what was your husband's name again?
Robert Goodwin.
Goodwin. As the children are from him?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And was he in the war or no?
He was in the war. He was in Germany he went into the Army in 1942, and he came home in 1946.
Okay. So, but did he come home in between?
We had, while he was in training, we had furloughs. He had to have furloughs.
Mm-hmm.
But when he went overseas, he was gone. He never talked about the war, and I never forced him. He didn't. When my brother was in the service, his wife made him talk about it.
Hmm.
Bob didn't want to talk about it, and I didn't make him talk about it.
Okay. Now, what did you do when he was gone?
What did I do? First, I worked in a dime store for 6 years for a family, for a small dime store. And I learned retailing from this store. I learned how to retail. Then I went to work at Kellogg's Food Factory.
So what do you mean you're retailing? You learned, what does that mean?
But when retailing, I learned how to price things. I learned how to sell things. Like my children say, mother could almost sell her grandmother. I learned how to sell. I was comfortable with people. And I learned this from this man. He was a wonderful person to work for.
It was a big store. It was a dime store, right?
It was a dime store. He owned the dime store. It was a store that had been in Coldwater since when my mother was a girl.
What was the name of the store?
Triboulette's 5 and 10.
Triboulette's 5 and 10 in Coldwater?
Coldwater.
Okay.
And then I went to Kellogg's and worked in the Kellogg food factory until Bob came home from the service of living.
Okay.
I lived with my sister then in Battle Creek.
Kellogg Food, a company, a factory? It was a factory?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So then...
Okay, so, but where did you go to school?
What did I do in school?
Yeah, where did you go to school?
I went to so many schools.
Okay, what was the first one that you remember?
First school was Morse School outside of Batavia, between Batavia and Union City, where we lived in the country, mm-hmm. And it was called Morse School.
Batavia and Union, is that by Battle Creek?
No, near Coldwater. Near Coldwater.
Okay.
Quincy, Coldwater.
Okay.
Unfortunately, and I don't like to talk about it too much, is I didn't get to go to high school.
Okay. I mean, whatever you don't want to talk about, it's okay.
Then we went to Morse School, and then we moved into, we moved into town, into Coldwater.
Okay, but you went to other grammar schools. Can you talk about that or no?
That was in Coldwater.
Okay.
That was during, before the war and before World War II. I was there until I left 6 years later and went to Kellogg's.
In Coldwater. So you were 6 years in Coldwater.
Oh, yes, because we lived there.
But you said you went to different schools. Then you went to Battle Creek?
No, I did not go to Battle Creek. From Morse School, I went to Coldwater School. I was only 5. I wasn't 5 when my mother finally let me go to the country school with the rest of the kids. She packed my lunch and let me go. But then the next school was Coldwater. My father had gotten a job in the cement plant there. And so we lived there for not too long, maybe a year. Then we went to a farm in Quincy, Michigan. So that school was called...
Now, I'm trying to figure out, and I think Coldwater is by Battle Creek?
It's away from Battle Creek.
It's towards the lake. It's more towards the lake.
No, Coldwater is towards the Indiana line.
Towards the Indiana line, okay. And then Quincy and all these?
Quincy was a little town about on that same area.
In the same area, okay.
But so we went to that school, and that school was called Jordan School, and that teacher was Miss Wentworth.
And how was that? How was that classroom?
Just a one-room school with all kids.
How were your friends?
Oh yes, we had friends. We had friends. See, it was different than the one in Coldwater. You were in just your grade, but then we went to the country school again. We were in the first, second, third, on up to the 8th grade.
But you were in different classrooms then.
Not a different classroom, same room.
The same room, but different.
Same room.
Different grades. Okay.
We'd go down the front and sit in the...
So did the first graders sit on one part of the room? And
no.
All mixed up?
We were put to the desk that we fitted in.
Okay, so you were all mixed up.
Yeah, we were all there.
Okay.
And then from that...
Did you have something on your shirt that said first grade?
No, we were... Mm-mm.
No. That teacher knew?
Just wore...
But what did you wear?
When you went into a country school, the first thing they would say to you, what is your name and where were you born? And this was quite interesting.
Okay.
So my other kids would say, well, this one was born in Jonesville, Michigan. This one was born in Battle Creek, Michigan. This one was born in Union City, Michigan. And then they came to me. And I would say, Findlay, North Dakota. Oh, you weren't.
Right.
I mean, you're 12 kids, and you were born in Findlay, North Dakota.
Yeah. So you were the furthest one away.
Yeah. Okay. So it was quite interesting. Okay. So then we went to Jordan School, and I had, then we went to Hadley Corners School, and that teacher I was kind of naughty. Okay. I asked her if she had false teeth, and she said, you're impotent. So, and then from Hadley Corners, we moved to another farm and the older ones were beginning to get ready for high school. Some of us were still in the country, and that school was called Kronk School, and that we always had to walk. When we would get a farm, here would be the school, and here would be the school. This school was not in our district. It was next door, but we couldn't go to it. We had to go 2 miles, walk 2 miles. So,
why couldn't you go to the one next door?
because of the districts, you couldn't go from. We were in one district, and this one was in another district,
Okay.
and you weren't allowed there. And
So you were right at the borderline, and
we were on the border, and we had to go to the one 2 miles away.
okay.
And that one, that was the one we went to long. We went to that from in the 8th grade, and then in those days, instead of being given an end of the year examination in your school, you had to go into the high school and to the little town of Litchfield and take your examination,
Okay.
and then hope and pray that it came back.
Okay.
So
Now,
and I liked living there. We lived in a big house. We were there about 3 or 4 years in a big house.
but I mean, you said you were naughty in school. So what does that mean? Besides that other...
That was, because you weren't supposed to ask your teacher if she had false teeth.
Right. But I mean...
I know, no, I was not.
Were you naughty in any
No.
other way?
No.
So did you like this going
Yeah.
to school?
Yeah, you just...
I mean, what did you like about school? What did you like about that school, going to school?
The best school, I liked history.
Okay.
I liked geography, and I was pretty good at spelling.
Okay.
And
So what did you like about history?
what I spell?
What did you like about history? What did you said you liked history? Why?
I could read the Civil War over and over and over again. I liked the Civil War days.
Why?
They
Usually
were
that's for guys. Guys like Civil War.
It was just an interesting time. You were seeing a nation, part of it against another part of the nation, and I remember when I went down. It was when I was grown and went down to see my husband when he was in the service.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing they said, don't mention, even then in the 40s, don't mention the Civil War.
Okay.
I said I didn't.
But why?
Because they were still fighting the Civil War in their mind, and
Okay.
they were still
So
bitter.
it was two nations fighting each other?
That's right.
Okay. But was it just the nations fighting each other, or any other things about the Civil War?
No, it was just that they were fighting. There was an underground. You know what an underground railroad was?
Right. Yes.
There was one near us where,
By Coldwater?
yes,
Okay.
where they would come and get out of
You're talking
the.
about the black slaves?
Yeah, they get out. They were the blacks would get out of the South.
Okay, but did you have to?
Well,
how did you feel about that?
Well, I've never been prejudiced.
Okay.
You know, with these people here, there's so many. I am not a prejudiced person.
Okay.
I have a mind of my own,
Okay.
and I know right from wrong. But I also know that God made their skin dark, my skin white, but my heart is in the same position their heart is. And I've just met a few of these people, and they're very loving, sweet people. And so
You didn't know them when you were young.
I knew that you didn't talk about them.
Okay.
No, I
You
didn't.
didn't talk bad about
We
them.
didn't talk bad about them. No,
Okay. Okay.
we were not allowed to.
Who taught you that?
My mother and father.
They were the same way?
I don't think my mother would have said anything bad about anybody.
Okay.
We were taught to respect other people. I know I'm seeing this now. Here I am now 94 years old. I have given graduation gifts and wedding gifts And I see the ones that have been taught to write a thank you, and I've seen the ones that took the money and didn't say anything. Never said nothing, was said nice about it. And giving gifts. I was taught to say thank you. I taught my children, when they were too little to write a thank you, they signed their name to a written one. When they got where they could write, they were taught to write their own thank you notes. So if somebody did something like so. I've never been.
Was this a religious thing, or was it a religious thing?
No, it was respect.
Just respect.
It was respect.
Did you belong to any church?
We went to little country churches at that time. We would go to a little country church.
What kind of religion?
A little Baptist church in the country, but we were always had. Years ago, they had Bible schools, which are different than today's Bible schools. We were taught. We went to those. They would last maybe 2 weeks, and there'd be a program at the end.
We were taught what were you taught there?
We were taught the story of the Lord, and we were taught crafts. We did crafts. We were taught things that the kids aren't taught these days.
Like what? Crafts and what else?
With crafts, well, I remember we would take a glass, a can, or a glass jar, and we would cut little pieces of paper and glue it on them, and then take a pencil and put a marker on them, and then put varnish over it, so there you had a pretty vase that you had made.
Mm-hmm.
You
put the paper over the.
It was paper.
Okay.
I was in the country schools. I was always given a lot of memory things to do. I was always given 3 or 4 poems to recite at the Christmas program, and I was.
So you had a Christmas program?
We had always had Christmas programs, always.
And the kids recited poems?
The kids would have a program, and the mother...
Sing songs, anything else? Did they sing songs too? Or?
They would have maybe they would have a little show, a little thing. And that was what we did at Christmas. We always, we would... I remember learning... all those, I can't remember them now,
right.
But Longfellow's poem about his children, that was a long poem,
okay.
But I learned it all. Okay. And we had, in the morning, we had, always had a class that we'd take something out of the newspaper and read it. And that we always chose something
from the newspaper, and then you read it, and then you talked about it.
Yes.
In class. Okay.
Mm-hmm. The highlights of my last year, I went to country school. The son of the school board member was a goody-goody two-shoes, and he was so smart. Mm-hmm. We had a spell down.
Okay, because you said you were good at spelling.
I spelled him down.
You spelled him down. You got him good.
I spelled him down.
Okay.
And book reports, we had to give a written book.
You don't remember the word that you spelled?
No, I don't.
Okay.
We had book reports. We had to give a written book report and an oral book report. My written book report was on Bambi.
Okay.
My oral written book was Heidi.
Okay.
And
what grade was this?
I was probably in maybe the 6th or 7th grade.
Okay. I'm sorry, go ahead.
So
Bambi and Heidi?
Those were, the written one was pages. I mean, and then the oral one, you got up in front of the class and you told that story. And all the highlights in it, yes, I like doing that. And I wasn't the smartest one in class, but I wasn't the dumbest either.
So after class, what did you do? During recess?
After class, we had recess, a 15-minute recess in the morning and a 15-minute recess in the afternoon.
And what did you do?
We had a lunch. In the morning, we would go outdoors and play baseball or throw the ball over the teams and throw the ball over the schoolhouse, and we would play different pom-pom pull away, you know.
Pom-pom pull away?
Where
you pull?
Yep.
I mean, like
and so we would, we had a noon.
Pom-pom pull away is like you have a ball or something?
You would get,
those little
they were
players,
getting on this line or this line. We were on this line and they were on this line.
Okay, and then you just play with it. There's a ball in the middle.
Right. But it was good. It was good. Country school, I learned a lot, but I've learned a lot since then. Mm-hmm. I'm still learning. Okay. I was left a widow at 40 years. I was 40 years old when my father died.
How y'all doing?
I was 40 years old when their father died. I didn't have a lot of money, but I had a $2.59 an hour job. Got a 10-cent raise just then. I got a $325 Social Security, and I had the 4 children. I lived in the country, and I had to move into town because I couldn't leave little children when I went to work in the country. And the heating system was stoves instead of a furnace. We were remodeling a house. So
you moved to the town?
Yes.
The town, what was the town?
3 Rivers, Michigan.
3 Rivers?
I got on the telephone and I called a realtor. And I said, do you have anything to sell? Oh, we'll have something after the first of the year. I said, I don't want it after the first of the year. I want it yesterday. So the lady realtor that knew me, knew my husband, said, I'll find you a house. In 1961, women still were dumb, remember. In 1961,
women were still what?
Women weren't supposed to know anything yet.
Okay.
So
in 1941, you said?
In 1961,
women were not supposed to know anything.
They were still okay. Stupid,
okay.
As far as business was concerned. So anyway, she found this house, and she told me it had a bedroom for everybody. It was a nice little house, a big house in town. It was close to the library, it was close to the church, it was close to school, and it was close to my work. So by that time, my oldest daughter was able to be at home with them at night, afternoon. So anyway, she found this house, and I had a friend. I said, I found this house, and they want this so much money for it. Would you come and look at it, and don't tell them you know me? Just come and look and tell me after you've seen it if it's worth that or if I should. He said, so I did. I had worked for him for 6 years. So he came and looked at that house. And he called me and he said, I looked at the house. He said, offer them $12,500 and give them 24 hours to make up their mind. Mm-hmm. So I did. I got it for $12,600. Mm-hmm. Okay, but then there was another little thing. Women single were not given mortgages. Mm-hmm. I was the first woman to get a mortgage.
In Michigan?
In Michigan.
Okay.
I was the first woman to get a mortgage. So I took care of that. Then I had gone to beauty school and I wanted to have a beauty shop and to supplement. So I had a room there that I could make into a beauty shop. and be away from everything else. I went to the city meeting, and the woman on the board said, no, we want to approve it. She said, go on ADC. I said, I'm not going on ADC where I have to tell them how many pairs of underpants I have in my dresser drawer. So I didn't do it. Then, and after 3 years, I met Lyle, the stepfather number one, and he went to the meetings with me. But
So how many years you said after 6 years?
There was 3 years after, there was 3 years between, I was a widow all alone with 4 kids for 3 years. For 3 years.
Okay.
And so anyway, they said I could have it. Then they came down and they said I couldn't have it. The neighborhoods didn't want it. So then they put a petition out for me to sign that this girl down next door to me could have a beauty shop in her house. And I said, well, that's a little stupid, isn't it? You just had a petition that I couldn't have one. Do you think I'm going to sign that she can have one when she doesn't have any kids and I have 4 kids to take care of? So I didn't sign it. So then, I lived my garage is on this street, and my house is on this street. And on this street was a house for sale. It was an awful thing.
So one street before you and one street behind?
The back street was Rock River Avenue, the front street was Maple Street. It was
Okay.
West Street. So anyway, this house was for sale. And it was 2 apartments. And I called a realtor and said, can you show me a house that you don't have listed? He said, sure. So I went and looked at it. Well, it was adequate. They wanted $10,000 for it. And so I put that on a piece of paper. And then I went to see how much it would cost. I had a contractor come in and ask him how much it would cost to fix that house the way I wanted it. That was $7,000, so that was $17,000. And then I went to the bank. Well, first I went to where I went to beauty school, and I said, I'm going to have this beauty shop, but I'm going to have to buy equipment. And he said, oh, what do you want? And I told him what I wanted, and he said, that's awfully expensive. I said, yes, but it's so pretty. He said, well, I'll tell you what, I have a complete beauty shop that wasn't allowed to put because it's too close to a drugstore. You can have it for 10% of what I paid for it. I said, how much is that? He said, $2,000. So $17,000, $2,000, $19,000. So I called the bank. I said, how much do I have to have for a down payment? He said, $7,000. I said, okay, I'll call the insurance man. I called the insurance man and I said, okay, Mr. Pierce, I want to know if I've got any money left in that insurance. And he said, I'll look it up. He said, you have $7,000 left. So there was my down payment. So I knew that God was taking care of me. So I got the beauty shop. We remodeled the house, rented the apartment on the other side for a while, and did the beauty shop, bought the equipment. The equipment included 4 dryers, 2 styling stations, a back bar, and then I had it. So I opened it, and I didn't have an operator. Before I let it open, this girl came to me. She said, Gwen, do you need an operator? And I said, well, I'm going to need some. I've got enough room for some. So I hired her. So there were the 2 of us. Then another girl came to me and she said, would you like to have another operator? I said, well, I'll have to think about that.
So you have an operator means?
Another beauty operator.
The one that's
to wind hair.
That cuts the hair, okay.
And so I told her that I had some rules. I said, the first place, if a girl comes and works for me, she cannot, or with me. I didn't have them work for me. They worked with me. I did not allow
So
gossip.
they were partners. They were like partners?
No, they were just, I
But they
gave
worked
up.
with you.
So I paid them.
You treated them with more respect.
Yep.
Okay.
I gave them a percentage of what.
A percentage, okay.
So anyway, I said, I don't allow gossiping, and I don't allow cheap magazines. I don't allow true stories or all that crap. So,
Okay, because they have to talk to the customers.
yes,
So you don't want them to gossip? Or
that's right.
I
I did.
cheap stories of...
That's
of
right.
the day.
I didn't want. Yeah, I paid high dollar for good bed or eating. So I hired her. It was so
I thought
funny.
that's what they do is gossiping.
Huh?
I thought that's what they do is gossiping.
They sure do. So anyway, the first week she worked for me, her
They have to be more professional. You said you wanted them more professional.
yeah, they worked with me.
Yes,
They got a
they couldn't
person.
gossip. They couldn't gossip.
They could not gossip.
Okay, all right.
So the first week she worked, her Friday night customer came in, and she got her hair all shampooed and got her in a chair to set it. And the girl said to her, well, Anita, do you have any good gossip? And you could have heard a pin drop. I didn't say a word. I just stood there working on my lady. And Anita said, Gwen will not let us gossip. And she said, well, then I guess I'll have to find another beauty shop. I turned around and I said, there's 9 others in town, take your choice. And she stayed with me for 9 years.
Okay.
And so, I mean, I've worked for everything I've gotten. And
How long was the beauty shop? How long did you have it?
How long did I have it?
Yeah.
I built it in 1965.
And this is Coldwater. We're still in Coldwater.
And no, this is in Three Rivers.
Oh, Three Rivers. That's right, Three Rivers.
And of course, I had married, and Lyle was
What did Lyle do?
he was a truck driver.
Okay, all right.
And after I had worked at it, and I could see the handwriting on the wall, I thought, well, I'm married to him, and he wants me with him. So one day, I was working alone on a Saturday, and this realtor said, do you want to sell your beauty shop? And I said, well, I don't know. It depends on who wants it and if she wants to pay the price. And I sold it for the price of the beauty shop and the inventory.
Okay.
And I went with my husband because the children were gone by that time. They were married, the girls were married, and Bob was on his own.
Where did they move to?
They all lived married and lived in Three Rivers for a while, and then Cheryl went to college, and then Linda stayed there, worked in Three Rivers, and she went to college.
Where did they go to college?
Linda went to Birmingham, Alabama, to Bible college.
Okay.
Cheryl she took her first year at Kellogg's Community College, which she recommends for everybody. And then she took a year took some at Michigan State because her husband was in Michigan State. But she ended up getting her degree. She got her bachelor's at Kalamazoo, her master's at Kalamazoo, and
What did they study?
Linda was bookkeeping, business, office work. Cheryl's was business because she had married and her father-in-law wanted her to do business. She ended up being a school teacher.
Okay.
And then their marriage fell apart after 18 years. And when she remarried 8 years after that, she was principal of Coleman.
Coleman, what city? What town?
Coleman, Michigan, out here between Midland and.
Oh, Coleman is the town.
And she was that, and then they moved to Colorado, and her husband had gotten he was retired from the Air Force, And they sold everything, and in faith they went to Colorado, and he went to Bible school, and she did music, and she taught school out there, and she also taught Sundays to go to the military, and did the music for the one church denomination.
Taught Sunday school in the military?
The military, there were 3 of them out there. I've got the book on that.
Oh, that's okay.
And
she was teaching it to the military.
She just
Military families.
Yeah, she did the church music for the military.
Okay.
And then that church denomination would go, and then the Presbyterians would come in, and she would do them. So she did 2 church services, and she got her student loan, and I got her PhD.
Okay.
So then she got her PhD, and he came back. He had a church in Reed City, and she taught school. And she got a job at Ferris University.
Okay.
And what she taught was administration. And
is she at Ferris State now?
no, she retired.
She retired. Okay.
She retired this year.
Okay.
So it's been a lot of water's gone over the dam in 94 years.
Okay.
But there's a lot of things in between that, you
A lot
know.
of waters have gone over the dam, you said. But the river is still flowing.
And that's right. Some of it has been muddy,
What do you mean?
and some of it's been clear.
Okay, tell me about both, the muddy and the clear a little bit.
That'll be a book. I want all. I mean, there's a lot of things in between what we've discussed here today.
Where do you want to start?
So, but we started.
But can you give me some of the muddy, or is that too private?
Pardon?
Can you tell me a little bit of the muddy, or is that too private?
The money?
The muddy.
The muddy. Oh, we were very poor.
Okay.
Then Bob and I had lived on this farm for 10 years. The children were born there. And on a Saturday, I said, then at that time we were both working in a factory, and I would get the overtime, but his department didn't. So I always took the overtime, which meant Saturdays and sometimes Sundays. Time and a half on Saturdays, double time on Sunday. And I come home one Saturday, and he was taking care of the children. He was canning. He was doing, and I said, I'm going to quit going to beauty school. I haven't been with you or the children, and I'm just going to quit. I had 40 hours to go before I took the exam. He said, no, I don't think you want to quit. You're going to need it sooner than you think. This was on a Saturday. Monday night, he was dead.
Ooh.
Monday night, he dropped at my feet.
What did he die from?
It was bad. It was bad.
Did he just natural death, or he knew he was going to
Again,
die?
I was alone.
But I mean, he knew he was going to die. But
No, I didn't. He had been to a doctor. They didn't tell me anything.
why did he know that he was going to die?
He just had a heart attack, massive myocardial infarction.
Okay.
He was working days at the factory, and and we were remodeling this house, beautiful old farmhouse. And he had been on Saturday. He had been to see about a furnace and some other work that we wanted. And then Monday, and then before he went to work, I would go at 7 o'clock, and he would go at 3 o'clock. But he was on vacation, his vacation, and he would drove school bus also, and he had a heart attack that night.
This was Lyle?
No, that was Bob.
Bob, that was Bob.
Lyle and I were married 31 years. God, when I met him, for 3 years, my brother-in-law kept telling me what a wonderful person he was. And I said, I have a house, I have a car, I have a job. I don't need a man. Oh, come on, he's such a nice person. 3 years he kept having me. So finally I said, okay, I'll go. We went. When he walked in the house, I looked at him and I thought, you don't really like a candidate for a stepfather. But again,
why didn't he didn't look so good? Why didn't he look like a
I
kid?
don't know, he just didn't appeal to me as that. But
Okay.
you know, God knows more than we do.
Okay.
He knew what kind of a man he was. He knew what I needed. He knew what my children needed.
Okay.
And he was the best stepfather that God ever created. And we had lived together 31 years. And
He loved the kids. He loved the kids pretty good.
We didn't have any kids by him.
But he loved the step.
He did. He did.
Kids.
And
He couldn't have kids.
I wouldn't. Oh, I could have. I could have.
But he couldn't have them.
I wouldn't have.
Or you didn't want. You didn't want more.
I don't believe yours, mine, and ours.
Okay.
I've always felt that way.
Yours, mine, and ours.
Yes, I don't believe in that. He had two sons, a son and a daughter that were grown.
Okay.
I had 4 children.
Okay.
And if then we'd had one of our own, no. And so I just,
That was it.
that was it.
So you wanted to. Those kids were from another father.
My kids were
Yours,
from,
mine, and ours. You didn't believe in that.
yeah.
Okay.
In fact, my youngest daughter said to me, after we got married, she said, I'll tell you something, Mother. If you get yourself pregnant, I'm not going to babysit. And I said, I'll tell you something, Barbara. If I'm stupid enough to get pregnant, I'm not going to babysit either, because your older sister has a friend that can't have children. She'd have one right away. Because I don't believe in that. I don't believe in, it was one of my things. So anyway, we had gone, then he had retired and I had retired, and we were going to Texas for the winters. We went there for 20 years, winters. And we come home this one year, and now it's been 16, in 96.
That was where you went for vacation, Texas?
No, we went there, wintered,
For winter?
for the winter.
Well, that's what I mean, like a vacation or no?
No,
You didn't call it a vacation?
no.
Just to get away from the snow?
We just went down there because it was warm, and we would leave in the 1st of October and come home the 1st of May.
But you did
Get out of the snow.
You
And
did this every year to get out of the snow?
for 20 years we did that.
For 20 years?
So
Did you
anyway,
have a house there?
we had a house at home. We built a house on the river, on St. Joe River, and we had a place out
In
down-
Texas?
In Texas, a mobile home.
What town? What city?
Donna, Texas.
Donna?
Between
Donna, Texas?
Donna, Texas.
Okay. Between what? Between
Brownsville and mid.
Brownsville, around Brownsville.
But there were all those little towns,
Okay.
and then there.
Was Donna a big town or something?
No,
In the
just
country?
little town.
Okay. All right.
Just little town.
Just you like the country?
Yeah, it was in a
Metropolitan?
campground.
Campground. Oh, campground. Okay.
So, and then I worked in a beauty shop down there just for something to do,
Okay.
because I got my license down there. But we came home with that in 1996. We came home, and he insisted on raking the yard.
Now this is Bob.
No, that's Lyle.
This is Lyle. Okay.
And he wouldn't let me rake. I said, I can help rake, So he raked yard, and his friend, they went in for coffee, and he come home and finished raking the yard, and I went out with a glass of orange juice, and he was sitting in a chair, and I knew he was dying. He had a heart attack and died. So.
You said he died at your feet.
I did get him to the hospital.
You did get him to that.
I called them.
Bob died at your feet.
Bob died at my feet.
Of a heart attack too.
Of a heart attack.
Okay.
They both had a heart attack.
Okay.
So anyway.
You weren't married after that though.
Then I married Morgenstern.
Morgenstern.
But I was only married to him from 2002, 2005.
Did he die? Did he die or no?
He died in a veterans home here in Grand Rapids.
Okay. All right. But we haven't got there yet.
That's it.
We haven't got there yet.
No.
Okay.
So anyway.
So you're with Bob.
I was with Bob for almost 20 years.
Okay.
And then I was with Lyle for 30, just like the month of being 31 years.
Okay, but Lyle, he's not the father of the kids?
No, he's a stepfather.
So what about the one before that?
That was Bob. Bob Goodman was the father of the kids.
Oh, Bob was before Lyle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and Bob died of a heart attack.
Yes.
But you only lived with Bob for 20 years.
Yes.
Okay, but he had all the kids were from him.
Yeah, all the kids were by him. Yeah.
Okay.
And then
how was he?
He was 43.
Yeah, he was 43. But I mean, how was he? Was he like Lyle? Was he?
Oh, he was a good man. He was a good man.
He was a good man.
He was a great man. When I first saw him,
You never argued with him.
He was the best looking man I ever saw in my life.
Oh, he's a good looking man. But did you ever argue with him?
He was a good man.
Did you fight with him?
No. We would argue and make up.
Okay, part of the routine, part of marriage.
That was married life.
That was married life, okay.
No, he was a good man. A hard worker. He had wanted to be a veterinarian. He was 28 when he came home from the Army.
What did you guys argue about? What did you argue about?
I wanted him to become, I said I had a job. I wanted him to go take his veterans money and go to college, and he said he was too old.
Is that what you fought about? Is that why you argued? What did you argue about?
What did I like about Bob?
No, what did you fight about?
Oh, silly little things.
Like what? Like what?
Nothing important.
Okay,
just disagreements.
Just disagreements, okay.
So, and that's part of where, then some of the muddy water was through that.
Okay.
And the death of his death, and then Lyle was good. He was good to my kids. He was good to me. My kids never called him a stepfather. Never. He was their dad.
Okay.
And life was hard, but...
What do you mean? Life was hard?
We weren't rich. We didn't have a lot of money. Okay. I was good at juggling. I was good at robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Okay.
But it was a good marriage. And I missed him. I still miss him. I miss him.
What do you miss?
I miss his his humor. He was Scotch-Irish.
Scots-Irish, okay.
And I miss his humor. I miss his tenderness. And I miss his being there. I miss him yet.
So, you miss his tenderness. Was he into poetry, music, songs?
He was a military man.
Okay.
He was before the war, he painted automobiles and restored automobiles for people.
So he was into automobiles?
He was into automobiles.
Okay.
And he was a truck.
Did he take him on shows? Was he part of shows, automobile shows?
No, he didn't. He was a mechanic, and he repaired and painted.
But they didn't go on
he didn't go to show. He would go to them, but he didn't show a card.
He would go to them. He'd like to go to them.
Yeah, but he didn't do it.
Okay.
But no, but he also was a truck driver before I married him too. He drove.
Also, he always was into automobiles or trucks.
Yeah, he drove California round trip.
Round trip to Michigan?
Taking Cadillacs to California.
Did he go to New York?
From Detroit to Cadillac.
Detroit to Cadillac.
Taking Cadillacs in an enclosed body because they had to pass a glove test. If they got out there, they put on gloves. They had to take the white glove test.
No, from Detroit to Cadillac, or did he take
he drove Cadillacs to California.
To California, okay.
So then when I started with him. We did hauled converted vans,
Okay.
and that's when I learned to drive the 18-wheeler.
Oh, you didn't tell me that you were driving an 18-wheeler.
Yes, I did.
Oh, you did tell me. Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't hear it. Well, I forgot.
Well, I'll tell you
did
about that.
Was that a job that you had?
No, I just, well, no.
You
First I went as an escort
Because you went with
because he had to have a riding escort
Okay.
for oversized loads. Then we just didn't haul oversized loads. We just hauled vans.
But an escort, did you have to be licensed?
No,
Okay, you didn't have to.
I didn't have to be. I just had to be there so that
But you had to know how to drive it.
I didn't have to know how to drive then. But
Or
then
just to be with him, just so he wouldn't
just to be
fall
with him,
asleep.
so if he had to had flag down traffic or anything,
help him.
the escort had to get out there.
Did the escort get paid?
No, yes, she did.
Oh, she get paid?
Yeah,
Okay.
the company paid her,
Okay.
so not much, but had been to California, and we were coming home, and we were outside of Chicago, and he said, "You can drive." Oh, I can? Sure. I drove the first time main driving on the Borman's Expressway in Chicago, if you know anything about Chicago.
The moments?
The Borman's Expressway,
Okay.
where you pulled into the little shed and dropped the money in,
Oh, the toll
Toll road.
Toll road, okay.
and it's the Borman's Expressway. And I drove that through Chicago. And when we got to 94, I came to a place I could park it, and I said, "You can have it back." But that's when I drove it.
Will you get scared after a while, or?
No, he had
Well,
over.
you drove through the whole expressway, so that was pretty far.
Oh yes, I just hadn't driven on the expressway before. I had driven coming home from
But
Florida.
how were the turns?
I learned how to do that. You took a wide turn. You took a wide turn,
Okay.
and I learned how to do that earlier.
Is it like driving a car, or no?
Just like, yeah, you put your foot on the clutch and you put your foot on the brakes.
Oh, you had a clutch.
We
and
didn't,
everything,
yeah,
so
we
you had
didn't
to
have,
shift gears. You had to shift gears.
we didn't have everything automatic. I had to get it into low fourth or high three, or and run. I learned all those things. My kids thought it was fabulous. They thought that was a cool thing for their mother to be doing. So, but I was 65 years old when I
At
did
that
that.
time, you were 65. Wow,
So,
that's pretty good.
so then I drove a lot. I've been in every state in the United States.
What kind of music did you like? Did you listen to?
What kind of music? I like good big bands.
Big bands.
I like the big bands. I like good classical music.
Okay.
I don't like the music, today's music at all. I don't
Right.
like it at all.
With the rap music and all that?
I don't like rappers.
You don't like rap? You don't want to hear that?
No.
Okay.
I'm
I'm just...
I like good. I like.
How about those old 60s music? You don't like none of
The old music,
those old, well, you say you like classical music
classic music.
and big band music
I like the big
from
band.
the 40s. That's big band music from the 40s, right?
The big band music is
Benny Goodman.
Guy Lombardo and
And who else?
Benny
Benny Goodman?
I have one of his. Yes.
Okay. People like that.
So Perry
Perry Como?
Yes.
Okay.
Rudy Valley.
Rudy Valley? Okay.
You know those?
Rudy Valley, I heard of them.
So,
And I'm around that age.
so I like that.
Okay, so that probably sometimes in a school auditorium or like a dance hall. Did you go to dance halls?
No, the one thing my father was a wonderful dancer, but he wouldn't let us dance, and so I never learned to dance.
So did he dance big band music
He danced waltzes and
and stuff?
he was a good dancer.
Okay,
Uh,
but he didn't let you guys
No,
dance.
he
Okay,
didn't let us
he didn't do
dance. So when I married Lyle, he said before we married, he said, "There's one thing I would like to have you do," and I said, "What's that?" He said, "I'd like to have you learn to dance," because he was a dancer. I said, you
Well,
know, I've
Lyle was a
been,
dancer too.
I said, I've wanted to dance. I don't know how to dance. He said, you know what? 31 years and I never learned how to dance.
Okay, okay.
But we always,
Okay.
he
So
always
you like to go to the theater? Did you go to the movie theater?
didn't go to the movies much.
What did you like to do? Go out for lunch? or
We
dinner?
went out for fine dinners.
Okay, fine
We
dinners.
would go 100 miles to a good restaurant.
Okay.
We ate in good restaurants. And he always said that he always liked to have me look like a lady.
Okay.
And
So dress up. He wanted you to
he
dress
always liked me to dress up.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. And so I know we were in one restaurant and this couple behind us was very vulgar. I mean, his conversation was terrible. So Lyle got up and he said, you know, my wife really doesn't appreciate your conversation. And he stopped talking. The man stopped talking then.
Kyle got angry.
Yeah.
He got angry and straightened the man
He
out.
wasn't angry. He just accepted the fact that Lyle's wife didn't like.
Okay. So he told him in a respectful way.
Oh, yeah.
But serious.
Lyle was a gentleman.
Okay, it was a gentleman.
I mean, he was Irish, and Scotch-Irish, but he was a gentleman.
Okay, now did he drink a little bit?
Not very much.
Okay, because that's
He
that's
had
the
befo-
profile.
before I had
That's the profile
married-
you got about Irish.
When he was a young buck, I think probably he did his share.
Yeah.
No, he did not.
So he didn't.
Maybe once in a while we would have a drink with a meal, but then we
Okay,
couldn't.
but wait a
We
minute.
didn't have that because I wasn't a drinker
Okay,
either.
so there was no drinking, none of
No.
none of
So,
that stuff.
and we
And
would.
you didn't have any problems with the kids or not?
Oh no!
Okay.
Well, I had problems with kids. My son and my one daughter but they didn't get it from mother, or they didn't get it from their dad.
No, that's fine, but I mean, they did,
They got it from
but they just
their
don't-
friends.
From their friends. But did they have a problem with drinking? Did they?
Those two did.
They did have a
Yes,
problem.
that's it. That's what took their lives.
But that took what?
That's what took their lives.
It took their lives. They passed away.
My son was 54.
Okay.
He died in 2010. In 2010, I lost a son, a niece, niece's husband, best friend I ever had in my life, poor lady friend, another niece. And in July of 2011, I lost a daughter, and 2 weeks after that, my only living sister. That was some of the muddy water.
That was some of the money water. And they have drinking problems.
No,
No,
the girl, the children did.
so
Those
they
two
just
children
passed
did.
away. The money water was
The friends,
the two children.
just the two children.
Okay. And was it just drinking or other things?
Oh, they just did.
Okay.
They didn't get it from their mother. They didn't get it from their father.
No, there's nothing to feel
And they didn't
guilty
get,
about. It's the age.
their friends did it, so they did it.
Yeah.
In the 60s,
It was the 60s.
it was getting pretty bad. In the 60s and 70s,
So they learned it from the 60s
oh
and
yeah,
70s.
they did it.
So they got caught up in the 60s and 70s. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so where were they living in the 60s and 70s?
Three Rivers, Michigan.
So it was in Three Rivers, so the kids around there experienced that at that time.
Hmm.
Okay. So you felt pretty bad at that time? You called it muddy water?
I went through that. That's,
So when you say muddy waters, that means you were kind of feeling guilty? Why do you call it muddy waters? I mean, it's just life.
what do I want in this one?
Why do you call it muddy waters?
Muddy Waters was,
Did you feel guilty?
no, I didn't, because
Shame?
no, I didn't feel ashamed because I taught them, they were taught, they make a choice. We all have a choice. We can make our choice. These two that are living made their choice. And married well. The younger daughter married well, but he was a womanizer, and that helped her drinking. Bob was just Bob. He had a living and two children, but he was never married. But the children are not, so I never see. I have 5 grandchildren I never see. They just don't even know they got a grandmother anymore. I guess they were there to when Bob's funeral, when I had a funeral for Bob. But no, those are the grievy things. Those are
sad things. You say grievy things; those are sad.
Sad, grieving. You know, you lose that many people, and then you lose children. You know, if you've never lost a child, you don't know how to relate to somebody that's lost a child, and therefore I didn't know how. But I knew now. I know now that I can. I had a friend, or not a friend, a woman that lived in the same apartments that I did. She had a beautiful daughter, 42 years old, and she died. And people in the apartment were really friendly with her because she smoked like a chimney, you know. And so one day I ran into her coming down the hall from the lunch, and I said, "Joellen, you don't know me, and I don't know you. But I want you to know, I know your pain. I know your heartache. I know your tears. Because I've been there. But had I never been there, how could I do it? I couldn't. I wouldn't know what to say. So sometimes it's best not to say anything. Sometimes I don't talk about it very much because my daughter that I live with doesn't talk about it. And he doesn't that he isn't. He's a military man. He's a Christian. Is a ordained minister, but I guess that I was born with some of my mother's feelings that I could see the good in the bad person. I can see some good in the bad person. And this girl needed someone to put their arm around her. And had I not lost her, I wouldn't have known how to do that. So
you learned from the loss. You grieved, but you learned from it.
I did. I did. I lost weight. It isn't that I didn't eat. I ate. I grieved inside, but I didn't show it. I lost weight from 160-some pounds down to 125 pounds that I am now. So, but I, like my daughter says, that I didn't lose weight, that I look skinny. So, I just know that I have often said, God, why am I still here? Why am I still here that I'm not taking 49 pills? Why am I still here when I can see something good? It's just as easy for me to put my arm around a black girl as it is a white girl. It doesn't hurt me a bit. I'm learning that there's some lovely people out here. I've only been here 2 days. I'm learning that there's some lovely people out here.
Why did you come to this place?
My daughter found it. I'm so used to being around people and living with them. They are them. Mm-hmm. He sits here with his computer and he does genealogy. She sits here with her computer. Of course, when she was teaching, she was on the computer all the time. When she was a professor, I didn't get out to meet people, and I'm used to that. And she found this, and she called them. Well, she made an appointment last February. Then the weather got so bad, and I don't go out in bad weather. I have never fallen, and I don't want to fall. And so she called again, and we came out here and talked to Bobby. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know what it was, but I knew that it was an out, that there would be people. There would be people I could talk to.
So are you living with your daughter?
I'm living with my daughter and son-in-law.
And so they wanted you to get out and...
They wanted me to get out and meet people.
And there's programs, stuff to do. They play bingo. Do you play bingo? Do you play bingo?
I do. I haven't been here to this one, but Bobby said I wouldn't advise you come the first time you come. It's on Thursday.
Right.
But I played bingo.
They give. I think they give different candy and food and different things.
Yeah.
If you win, it's just a game. It's just fun.
Just a game.
Yeah.
So I'm not a gambler, but
right. So it's really not gambling. It's really like
in the apartment I played cards, played euchre.
Euchre. Okay.
Like I taught myself to make quilts.
Oh yeah, they do quilts. Yeah.
And
then they walk. They also walk around.
I was walking 2 miles a day when I moved in here.
Okay.
Every morning I'd get up at about 6:30 and get out and walk from 7 till 8.
But you have a walker now, so is your back or something?
No, I just have it for stability.
For stability.
In case.
Okay.
I bring it here because I didn't know the grounds and I have to bring stuff with me.
Okay.
But I have a cane if I.
So you usually walk with a cane.
But I don't walk everywhere with a cane.
Yeah. Okay.
I take it when I go grocery shopping or go shopping.
But you don't walk everywhere with a cane. You walk without it.
I can walk without it.
Okay.
Oh yes.
Okay.
I walked around here without it.
Okay. All right.
I didn't push this.
No. But you use that for stability, just in case.
Yeah.
But have you ever fallen down or?
No, I fell in 1997.
That's a long time.
I bought a bicycle. I had ridden a bicycle.
Okay.
I was in Texas. I bought a bicycle.
Okay.
I bought a bicycle in the morning. I was taking a crash course on bikes again, and I crashed the bike and broke my kneecap. I sold the bike in the afternoon.
Okay.
So I don't ride bicycle anymore. I broke the kneecap when I was in Texas. So I just don't take pills. I take a water pill, blood pressure pill, vitamin D, and I did have a gout, and I was given a gout pill.
Do you still have gout?
I take the pill, but I haven't had any attacks.
Okay.
I didn't have. I had it in my knee, and I never knew you got it in your knee. So, so I just don't take pills.
Okay.
Drink a lot of water. Drink a couple cups of coffee. Couple cups of coffee maybe in the morning. And living with my children, I have 2 rooms. Okay. I have my bedroom and a sewing room, and I get up and make my own breakfast because they don't get up as early as I do. I mean, after when you're 94 years old and from the time you've been born almost, you were getting up with the chickens,
Right.
going to bed with the chickens, and getting up with the birds.
Okay.
So anyway,
So how is it now?
I get up early.
You get up early, but do you sleep during the day?
Once in a while, but I don't want to do that.
Okay.
I don't want to waste my time.
Okay, you don't want to waste your time. Okay. So because you don't want to waste your time, that means you have plans.
I have plans.
What are your plans?
What are my plans? I get up and do my own breakfast. I make my bed. I clean my own rooms. I do my own laundry. And then I sew. Okay. And now I bought a computer, and I'm learning that so that I can do more on that book.
Okay, so your plans are to keep writing more in the book.
Yes, I've got to get back at it. I like I say, I'm up to things that happened in 1930. But I didn't know that my name was Gwendolyn, and I don't remember when I knew that my name wasn't Joe.
Right, but your father called you Joe.
Yeah, because
Why did he call you Joe?
Couldn't remember my name.
Oh, your father had the Alzheimer's, or?
He didn't have.
I mean, did he forget?
Yeah, no, he just never heard that name.
Alzheimer's. Did he have like Alzheimer's, or?
He never heard that name before. Gwendolyn. He never heard that name.
So he just called you Joe.
So he called me Joe.
But that's a guy's name.
All my brothers and sisters called me Joe.
Oh, they call you Joe.
I don't, because
he always call you Joe.
Always call me. I don't know how old I was when I knew that I had a name.
So that was like your nickname.
Yeah, a nickname?
No, that was your name. He called you by that name.
Yeah.
So then you didn't know you had Gwendolyn.
I didn't know I had Gwendolyn. No.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
I don't remember when I knew that.
Okay.
So,
So we were talking about your plans.
what's my plan?
The plan is the book. You want the book. Why do you want to write the book?
I want it because there's no one left in the family. No brothers, no aunts, no uncles. No one that my children's children can know what some of the best life they have.
So you want your children's
I want my children to have that. And they want it.
So your children's children are your great-grandchildren.
I have great-grandchildren. I have 9 grandsons. I have 14 great-grandchildren.
And you want them to know.
I want them, and they want to know.
They want to know your story.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So,
why is it so important for them to know your story?
because there's always one kid in the family that's different. One of my older sisters said, "You're different. You're different. You hug people. We don't hug people. You hug people." And I want my children to know what their family was like, what their great-grandfather was like. And of course, and Richard now has gone into the genealogy, and he has pages of it in his computer. He's gone back as far as, in my mother's side, as far as 1600s, but...
So 1600s. So does he tell you about 1600s?
Where
were you guys from?
There was some Mohawk Indian in us.
Okay.
Of course, and I've always been. When I was on the road with my husband, we were in Gallup, New Mexico, and we stopped at a rest area, and I went in the bathroom, and this lady was talking. We got to talking, and she was doing something with it, and I said, I've always had such a passion for the Indians. And she said, knowing what you've told me, with the passion of what you have, somewhere in your family, there is some Indian. And I didn't know that, but Richard found it in
Richard, your great-grandson?
My grandson, my son-in-law that I live with. And my mother...
He found that you had some Mohawk Indian in you.
It was on my mother's side.
On your mother's side, okay.
Yeah. He said she was Pennsylvania Dutch, and my father was mostly just... I always thought my father was partly Irish because I had been told that, but he didn't find any Irish in us, in the genealogy. So I'm really Dutch.
Okay.
I used to say I was Hyde's 57 varieties.
But you're really Dutch.
That's what Richard said, that I'm really Dutch.
Dutch. But you do have some Indian too. But you have Mohawk Indian.
But yes.
Genealogy.
He found that in the genealogy.
Okay.
I was going to become a blood Indian. Someone in the church I went to, she was full-blood Indian, and her Indian brother was going to come down, and I was going to become a blood Indian. Then the AIDS came up, and I couldn't have it.
Oh, because of the age?
Couldn't,
What's the blood Indian?
They
cut some blood?
Cut you, and they cut them, and you're a blood Indian.
And they joined hands.
Yeah.
In that. Okay, but you were interested in that.
It is. I wanted to be an Indian. I've always had a passion for Indians.
Okay.
So.
Now you mentioned just one question, because you mentioned that you were the first woman
to get a mortgage.
To get a mortgage. How do you know that? How do you know that?
The realtor told me that I might not get the mortgage because she said they're not allowing single women to get a mortgage.
Okay. But did you get involved in any things about, the women's movement or none of that?
No.
Oh, you never got involved in none of that? Okay.
No, there's just this real estate.
So you never got involved in politics?
No.
Okay.
But I had to go through a bank in Kalamazoo, and they okayed me. But still in the 60s. Now,
In the 60s, the late 60s is when the new women's movement started. But you were not part of that.
It was in 60. I bought this house. Well, my husband died in September of 1962, and I called about a house in 1962, also before Christmas, to get a house to bring my children in. So I just was granted on the mortgage, and so when I look at it, I got a house. I paid $12,600 for it. I made $50 a month payments on it. Everything worked out.
Okay, so we're almost finishing up. What else? Is there anything that you feel very strongly that we should put on the tape?
I guess what?
Is there anything more that you would like to add?
No, I don't. As I think of things, people can't believe that I can remember the things like I do. Like when you go back to 1924, 23, 24. And as I do, I'm trying to put it down on that computer. I've got still maybe 2 or 3 pages in the computer that I haven't made copies of yet.
So what would you like to put under? What would you like to put under?
I would like to put in the things that have happened during the war, the things that I've gone through since
what happened during the war?
The achievement. During the war, I had a brother over there. I had Bob Goodman had 2 uncles in the same war, and the rationing. We had.
What was rationing? What was that?
We had these books, and your gas books, your sugar book, your coffee book, and I know that when my 2 older brothers, I would give them some of my coupons, and they would give me their sugar coupons or coffee coupons. You were allowed so many coupons. I've got one book that was my sister's. I don't know why I got it, but I have her rationing book that she had during World War II that I would have in it to show that what it was like.
Well, rationing, the government gave you food?
No, they gave you coupons so you could buy it.
So you could buy it?
Mm-hmm. You couldn't
buy any more than that?
No.
But you had to pay for it with your own money?
Yes.
But they gave you coupons saying you could buy this?
Yeah, they gave these little
coupons. But only
coupons.
so much?
Yeah.
If you didn't have a coupon, you couldn't buy it?
If you didn't get a book, you didn't. If you didn't have a book, you didn't get it.
You couldn't drink coffee?
No.
If you didn't have a book?
One thing, Bob had a car, and I brought it home to my house, to my father and mother's house, because I was going to need a car to get back and forth to work, and it needed tires. Well, you had to have if you were a veteran's wife or a soldier's wife, or I did get tires. My brother said, well, I'll help you get tires. He took me to Sears and Roebuck. I got 4 brand new tires on my car because tires were rationed. I don't know how old you are, but the 1942 things were pretty rough.
Okay. No, I don't remember that part.
Right?
I wasn't born then.
It was pretty tough.
I was born in 48. I wasn't born in 42. So they had a ration, so you couldn't buy coffee?
Not without a coupon.
I drink coffee every day now. But you couldn't buy coffee every day.
And everyone's people that put a lot of sugar in.
Right.
They say, you want yours? I don't want anything in mine. Because during the war, my sugar was, I would make jelly for my mom out of my, or help her can. I was 24 when I got married. I was 22 when I got married, and he was 24. So I just had to help with it. So I would like to get the sugar so I could make jams and jellies, so I could help her can, because I was still at home. So, but of course I wasn't married and then when I was living at home then. So my daughter said, "Mother, you've lived such an interesting life." And when I bemoaned the fact that I didn't have an education, she said, "Mother, you had a better education than a college person." God's been good to me. I haven't been as good to God as He's been to me.
But that was part of the reason you felt bad about talking about high school?
Yeah.
Because of the education? But nobody at that time had that, right?
We didn't have, well,
Not very many people at that time went to high school.
We didn't have money enough for me to buy books.
Right.
My dad wouldn't let us go to the county farm and get books. And I would have to walk 3 miles to school, high school. So I had to forfeit
high school.
High school.
And that's why you felt a little bad about talking about it.
So.
Okay. That's why you felt bad.
Yes.
About talking about it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You just talked about it. You know that. Do you still want this on? You just talked about it. Do you still want it on?
No, that's true. It's
Okay.
That's the way it was.
It's okay to have it on.
That's okay. That's the way it was.
Anything else? Anything else you'd like to say?
Oh, goodness. You know, we always had food on the table. Now, the 1929 Depression, I remember that. I was 8 years old then. But
How was that? How was that for you?
I was 8 years old. Well, how did it affect me?
Yeah.
We ate a lot of beans, but we would go where they threshed beans and we'd get them off the ground, and then we'd take it home and sort the stones out of them and sort the beans. We ate beans. We ate.
Was that what people ate, just beans?
Well, we had potatoes
Potatoes, beans,
and chickens, but
and chickens? Okay.
But, you know, when we were working on a big farm and had a lot of cattle, we always had meat
okay.
and milk.
Where was that at? Where was the big farm in Minnesota?
I'm writing about Allen, that farm on Allen. That's what I'm writing on now.
Where's Allen?
Allen was a little town. Allen was like Quincy, Jonesville, Allen,
Okay.
Litchfield, Hillsdale.
Okay.
Those are all little
Town.
ranch county towns.
And you had a farm there, a big farm.
We were sharecroppers. Yes.
Sharecroppers.
Yes. It was a good. It was.
You were sharecroppers there too.
Yes. Oh yeah. We never owned a big farm of our own. No.
You always had a sharecropper.
Yes. But this farm was so. I love this.
Usually, when I hear about sharecroppers, they're usually blacks, African Americans.
Yeah.
But your family was white.
Yes.
And you were sharecroppers.
Sharecropping. They called
So
it
it was all
sharecropping.
mixed?
Where they got so much of the profit, we got so much of the
So
profit.
that was going on at that time. all
Yeah.
over.
Oh yeah. This farm was so wonderful. It was a huge house.
Okay.
It had 2 upstairs. It had 2 stairways. It had a cupola on top. Now you know what a cupola is, don't you?
No, I don't. What is
Well,
that? What is that?
there's a house here in town that has one, a square house.
Okay.
And then on top of the house is a little cupola with windows in it.
Okay.
And it
One
had
room. One room?
Yeah, it had stair steps up to that little room.
Okay.
And this,
And what was that room for? The cubicle? What was that for?
to me, that was where I would go to read.
Okay.
I would go I'd go out the window and sit on the roof of the house
Okay.
with my back to the fireplace chimney
Okay.
and read.
So the cubicle, did it have a roof?
Yeah, it had a roof and had windows that opened up,
It was just like a room. One room.
just like a room.
One room. Okay.
So, and I liked it
But
there.
they used to make houses with cubicles?
Yeah, it was just maybe you would store things in it.
Okay, for storage.
We didn't store in it, but
Is it like an attic?
more like an attic.
It's more like an attic.
But we
But you
didn't.
still had an attic?
Yeah.
So you had a cubicle and then an attic?
Yes, and we had a house that had stair steps that go up here to 2 bedrooms, or 2 rooms that had a lot of stuff in it,
Okay.
storage stuff in it. Then it had,
Then you had a cubicle.
and you had a cupola.
2 bedrooms and
You
then
went
still
upstairs,
go
and then you went up,
some more stairs.
then you go upstairs into the cupola,
Okay.
and open the window and go sit out on the roof.
Oh, you can open the window and go out in the roof. So the cubicle had an opening for the roof.
Yeah.
So you could be outside or inside. That was nice.
The cupola had a roof on it and had windows that opened up.
And you can hang out on the roof.
You could go out. You could go out there
Okay.
because the roof was.
And what did you like about that? You used to go up to read?
I like to be by myself. You know, I know that I learned that I like to be by myself. I learned I used to read an awful lot. I just liked that cube. It was get away. And let's see, I went there, I was in the 5th, 6th, I was in 6th, 7th, and 8th grades, I think, at that on that farm, and I loved it. I loved it. I don't know why my father moved. We moved us back to town to nothing. My father could not work for somebody else. He could work for himself, but he wasn't good at work. He was my dad. I guess that's all I can say. He was my dad. I know my mother used to cover up a lot of times things that I broke a window accidentally, banging in the door, and she hurried around and found a glass and put the window in before my father found out, because I would have paid for it. I don't know. He wasn't my favorite person. Mm-hmm. I guess, one time we were playing cards, or I was too little. I was always a standby because I always had enough kids without me. And they were playing cards, and my dad was winning all the time. And I said to my mom, he just hugged it all. I'd heard him say that. He wouldn't talk to me. I went to bed crying because he wouldn't even say goodnight to me. Because I said that he hugged everything. He won all the games. Those are things that you say. You hear your dad say them. Mm-hmm. Why couldn't I say them? So, yes.
Anything that you want your grandkids, great-grandkids to remember of who you are?
I want them to know who I was. I want them to know.
But who are you? Where are you?
Right?
Who are you?
Who am I? I always had a low esteem of myself because I didn't have an education. But I learned a lot. I had, when I went and was left with the children, this attorney, the banker, took care of me until he found out that he had cancer and he passed away, and he told the attorney, Dick Wade, I want you to take care of her. I had him, he never charged me for anything. And I could go over there and talk and cry and he would understand. But I still didn't think I was anybody. And when I married Lyle, one day he said to me, I want you to walk down that street. I want you to hold your head up. And I want every step you take, I want you to say, I'm just as damn good and no better. Just as damn good and no better. Until you convince yourself that you're just as good as anybody you meet on the street, you're no better. And I did that. I had to do that. Then I was written up. My book got lost in moving. They had Michigan. What is the women? The book on people that made well, and they had me written up in that book that I had started a business on my own and so on.
Where was this at? Where was this at?
Three Rivers.
They had
They
put you in a book?
Yes, it was
Okay.
Who's Who of Michigan.
Who's who? Okay. Oh, okay. That's an important book.
And I wish I could.
Do you know what year? Do you know what year?
It was probably 19. I opened the shop probably between 66 and 67.
Between 66 and 67?
Somewhere along there.
Who's Who of Michigan?
Yes.
So you were in that. Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
The minister brought me the book, so I don't know. I never knew who put it in there. No one knows.
But it's in there, 67?
But it's in there.
67. Okay.
So, but I never thought I was anybody. It's just like I said to my Cheryl, every now and then I feel bad because I didn't have, I didn't have the education to keep up. I think I know a lot, but I didn't know. And she said, I said, I have nothing to leave you. Oh, she said, Mother, you've got so much to leave us. You've got so much to leave us. So, and why? I've asked God, why am I still here, as healthy as I am? Why? What does He want me to do? What does He have that He wants me to do? So, I don't know. I don't know. I just know that I'm never sick. Only time I have never had any. Only once I have had Asian fever, Asian flu back in the 60s when it was so bad that one time. That's the only time I've really been sick. I've driven a car since I was 15 years old when I learned to drive a car. So, I don't know.
Okay, any final thoughts?
Oh, I can't think of anything else. I have told you more than I've told anybody.
Okay. All right, thank you very much.
So.